So you can't be a me too anymore. You can't do hype anymore. You got to truly help people and show them why your solution is better. And then if the value's there, they'll convert. But they're going to do their homework. They're going to do their homework.
Hello and welcome. I am so glad to have you here for another episode of the Care to Lead interview series. Today, we're going to be discussing how AI is disrupting industries, and our guest is V. Michael Santoro, an experienced SEO expert and digital marketing consultant with a focus on helping entrepreneurs establish their online presence. Through his company brand Velocity.io, and he also co-founded Vaetas LLC, known for its patented interactive video technology. His insights have earned him recognition in publications like Forbes and Inc. He's also an award-winning author, notably for his book, Rite of Passage, transitioning from wantrepreneur to successful entrepreneur. And he's listed in the Who's Who for impactful contributions to society in 2023. Michael, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. You've done so much and you've started at such a young age. I'm excited for you to share more of your story with us today.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I look forward to participating.
So, can you share the story of what got you started in all of this? What inspired you?
Well, back in the day, which in internet years seems like a lifetime ago, was around 2004. It was funny because originally before the internet started to be what it is today, I was involved in multimedia. So I had an interest in how to communicate with technology. And what was funny, I was working in high tech at the time. And a friend of mine who I worked with had come up with a child safety product that he could not get into retail, no matter what he tried. He had a patent pending. And at the time I said, well, I just bought this course on internet marketing to build a website. And this is like in 2004, where there was no real easy way to do things. And I said, why don't I try to market it online, see what happens? Well, it ended up, I earned enough through that website because I was ranking throughout Google and other search engines to put my daughter through Florida State University. I realized that was the future. So I learned more about search engine optimization. And from there, with a business partner, we got involved with local SEO, which is helping local businesses to rank and to do lead generation. And as we were doing that, we found that doing screen recording videos of a website of a client was a good way to pitch them on our services, but there was no way of getting them to take action unless they replied to the email or we followed up with a phone call. So we had this idea, well, what if they can take action through the video and reply to us? And that's where the Vaetas was born. We did a flip chart drawing. We worked with a developer. We ended up getting a patent in 2017, and we exited in 2020. So my background, I did all the branding and SEO work for our company, and that's been my main passion, is working with search engine optimization. And because branding is so important, which we could get into a little later, that's where I wanted to focus, because if you establish a great brand online, you're going to get good search engine rankings, and you'll get more clients.
That's super interesting. And I do want to jump into talking about branding. But before we go there, you sparked my curiosity. Obviously, this child safety product that you couldn't get into retail was before the days of Shark Tank, when it might have had that option to go to. But is that product still in existence?
The company that he had manufacturing it ended up not doing so well, and they ended up stopped producing the product, but it was selling for over 8 years.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit more then. What other kind of case studies do you have where you've used SEO and branding to help an organization?
Well, currently, with all the Google changes and also a lot of the changes that included massive penalties for black hat kind of approaches to doing things, I worked with clients even recently to do brand building and to establish foundations. And the results have been really, really good. They've increased their conversions. They're now getting found even overseas for a lot of their courses and materials that they do. One of them's a Qigong instructor, and he's getting clients all over the world because of the work we did. and through content marketing, even now using AI as a research tool and the like, which we'll talk about a little later. But it's all about controlling your brand
So,
online.
can you tell me what it looks like if I have a course or a program that is just sitting out there on the internet somewhere or in Kajabi that needs to be seen by people? What do you do to help that happen?
Okay, first, what you want to do is you want to build topical authority in a niche. So if you know who your customer base is, they're asking questions online, they're doing searches for solutions to what you're offering because your course probably solves a problem for them. And they're doing research on that, or it might be a how-to course on something to learn. By creating topical authority, it shows Google that you're an established brand. A topical authority means that you're covering all the topics that are associated with a niche and you're going deep on it with information. So you're helping people and establishing credibility and trust, which now increases your sales and gets you traffic from Google.
If that's the case, and it's going to be up to me to develop the content, tell me how your organization would help me do that.
First, what you want to do is we provide a technical solution, and we also encourage you to differentiate yourself with your content. Currently, I'm working with a thought leadership expert that has the ability to work with clients to pull that information out. You need to know your why. You need to know how you help clients, what makes you different. You need to influence their thinking through your content. You just can't throw factual information out and expect to rank anymore or to convert. And once you build topical authority, now we build a network. It's called a syndication network. So when you publish on your blog, it automatically gets posted across the network and it's not spamming, it's sharing content. So we reduce the amount of technical work and we tell people spend time with your content as if someone walked into your store. Your content's now your online store. And if you're just throwing information out there, you're going to just be part of the noise. And you've got to get through the clutter and you got to get through the noise to be found.
What would an entrepreneur need to know to differentiate themselves from all the other content and all the other topics that are out there on the same subject? How do you stand out?
If you build your product correctly, you're addressing a need for a customer and your differentiation may be customer service. You need to identify because you don't want it to come down to pricing. Because if you're a Me Too product, it's going to come down to pricing because people are doing their homework nowadays. They're going out, they're looking at various solutions, they're looking at pricing, they're looking at everything. So you've got to communicate your value. You really do. So
for our listeners and for people watching this, tell me what it means to communicate my value.
All right, let's say with what we did with Vaetas, okay? What we found was that most places who were doing video tech were sending everything to a landing page that had the video embedded. They also had their advertising on the pages, all right? So in other words, you had to now email them or do something to get them with traffic to a landing page. Then they had to watch the video. We realized that was a problem. So what we did was our videos played full screen. When you clicked on we'll say the link in the email, it played full screen in your browser window automatically. And it had the call to action built into the video. So if you wanted them to email you, you wanted them to go to a different landing page, whatever you wanted to do, they can do it immediately while they were engaged. Our engagement increased 36%. So when we went out to market this, we said we could increase your engagement, your conversions by 36% through video. Here's the case studies. That was a differentiation between the way things worked and us coming up with a solution. So you can't be a Me Too anymore. You can't do hype anymore. You got to truly help people and show them why your solution is better. And then if the value's there, they'll convert. But they're going to do their homework. So
let's try to take this conversation into a little bit about leadership. And you, in your article, talked about practice consistency and a resilience to make someone a better leader. do you just incorporate that into your own organization, or do you help your clients incorporate that into theirs? Tell me more about practice, consistency, and resilience.
You have to live your truth. And when you're going to exhibit a certain behavior, it's got to be consistent all the time. Do what you say what you do. But honestly, when I work with vendors or I work with people who work on our team, they know what to expect. And when you set guidelines, like you have an open door, you want to talk, be proactive in how you report things. Don't wait, don't fear. It works better. And with clients, I get a lot of them that panic. They'll call and say, oh my God, this is happening. And you have to kind of coach them into saying, become an observer of life rather than a participant. When you're a participant, you react emotionally to things and you can make mistakes. When you're an observer, you're using your analytical skills, your intuition, your experience to now look at it and be able to make a more objective decision, which helps. And that's the way I run my business. And I help clients to that's a thought process. You need to have a mind shift.
What's the average size company that you serve?
Well, I've worked with both startups and with large tech companies in my career. The startups one was a medical device company that built a medical device that a doctor invented, and we brought that to market. I had obviously my own SaaS company. I've got clients that are SaaS companies. I also worked with another one that did a manufacturing product that we're getting started. So most of my specialty was working with startups. But I did have the big enough company experience to see what bureaucracy was and how much better a flat organization is to running a company, especially if you're a startup.
So for any of our followers who aren't familiar with SaaS, it's software as a service. And is that a different company than your SEO company? Can you tell us more about that?
Well, Vaetas was a SaaS company, a software SaaS company. We built a whole product. That was a video delivery. It had a front end, a back end. It integrated with Google. It integrated with YouTube, everything else. So it was a complete product. That was a service. And then like the other medical companies, they actually did facet joint, which was like so out there when you think about it, but it helped with lower back pain. It was a new way of doing things. They had a patent. We brought that to market. In fact, I work with a client now that's a SaaS company that does medical answering services that are automated, that bring in a way of tracking things that are HIPAA compliant and the like. So I provide some technical as well as all the marketing.
So tell me how you would, like if I came to you with a product and I came to you and say I already have an established brand, say I already have a niche and a following, and I came to you with a product and I said, okay, here's a new product that I want to get off the ground. What would you do for me?
Okay, first of all, I think it's really important to do a complete audit to see, did you build this according to what customers really want? Or did you do this in a vacuum because you worked in a business and thought customers wanted it? So you really need to understand that, or you're going to end up re-engineering your product once you hit the market. We want to validate the niche. And if you say you have an established brand, what does that mean? In other words, do you have a complete digital entity across the internet? Do you have regular leads coming in? What's your social media looking like, right? Because honestly, if you look at the way Google is going now, LinkedIn is your resume, no matter who you are, okay, and your company profile. Your digital entity, which is all your publications and mentions everything across the internet, that's your portfolio. And Google page one for your brand is your new business card. So you have to look at where is your market? How are you getting to them? Do you want to expand into new markets? Do you want to expand? If you're already a market leader, where do you need the help? It has to be more of a consultative and really understanding where a company is. You can't just go in and say, well, do this, because they know where they want to go for most part, but they may be missing something. They may just need to have some new direction in another direction or what have you. But you need to do a brand audit. You need to do a tech audit. You need to do a customer audit to begin, and then build on it.
Okay, that sounds great. So were there any pivotal moments or decisions that impacted your own business success?
It's kind of with SEO and Google and everything. It's like I put a seatbelt on every time I go online. And what's happening is the way things used to be, I had to become very flexible to be able to make quick changes. And I think, when you see sites drop all of a sudden, and you have to understand why. So I think that was the biggest lesson, was you have to be really aware of your environment and look at all the things that are going to be impacting it in order to keep delivering to your clients and your own business. Because I've had cases where you just disappear, and then from there you remain. And if you're going to remain online, like right now, we went through this latest March review, and our clients actually did well. I did well. We stayed where we were in our rankings. We increased our rankings, and a lot of companies dropped off the face of the earth.
How do you think AI is going to, or do you think it's going to have a massive influence on the way this is all working, the SEO and all of it?
Well, to say SEO is now a new standard is, an understatement. Over 75% of marketers are using AI. The problem is they press the easy button and they add to the clutter of all this content online, because like ChatGPT and other products could rewrite content, right? Well, with the March update in Google, a very big percentage of this AI content was dropped from the search engines, de-indexed, and the like. So Google has a guideline called EEAT, where they want you to put your expertise and experience and show authority and trust. And your content needs to do that. The problem with AI content is you don't know whether it's scraping, it's pulling in information. There could be plagiarism issues. There could be potential lawsuits, the way I know the New York Times just sued ChatGPT because of content and the like. And if you write a book using AI, it may not be copyrighted. They're looking at the new updating the copyright laws. But AI is really good for research. If you have a writer's block, doing an outline of key topics, even a topical map. What does Google think that this should be? And then from there, you've really got to make it your own, and you've got to add some originality and expertise to it, or you're not going to rank anymore.
I think I have my book's coming out. I should actually have it in my hands like in a couple of weeks. And the way I utilized AI in the writing of my book was I would write the content and then I would enter it into ChatGPT and I would say, all right, can I say this in a more compelling way? Can I pull in the reader a little bit more? And I would get some ideas from that. And it was really helpful to just say something on a different level. But because my book had a lot of interviews with real clients, I couldn't let it write the content, but I certainly could let it make it compelling and make it more interesting to read.
You used it the correct way. See, where people are getting in trouble is they're saying, write me a book about this topic. The fact you had case studies, in fact, with my book, I did the same thing. I said, keep the writing style, but I want you to proofread this. And if I missed any points, please add it. But then I wrote my own content for the points that I might have missed. But you did it the right way.
I love the create your own chat, your own GPT option, because right now I'm planning my launch party for my book, and just like detail stuff that I don't like I had 3 venues, and each venue sent me their price list of what, they offer for drinks and, hors d'oeuvres and all of that stuff and the cost. So I created my own GPT and I said, you are a party planner right now. And I said, I need to know the most cost effective, which of these 3 venues are the best for me to choose to hold my launch party. And I uploaded all 3 PDFs that each venue sent me, and ChatGPT gave me a thorough thing. I cost per hors d'oeuvre per person, how many items, any extra fees, taxes. And it came up with a solution and said, this is where you should host it. And I called the next day and I said, okay, you're in, you win.
Now that you're doing the type of marketing and research and everything that people need to do, you're using AI correctly. Because think about it, when Excel came out, everyone thought accountants were going to be out of work. But what does it do? It's an accounting tool. AI is a tool that saves a lot of time. People used to go to the library with the Dewey Decimal System to do research. Now you can do it in instant. But the way you did the analysis and everything, that is the real strength of AI, using AI.
I'm going to pretend that I'm way too young to understand Dewey Decimal System. What is that?
I read about it.
I read about it. I think my grandparents might have. Yeah. Yeah. So, what strategies or approaches have you found most effective in reaching and retaining customers for your business?
By really generating the type of content, like let me give you a case study before I do that. Last night, my business partner and I had to present an entrepreneur meeting on the system that we use and what have you. And it became so compelling because both of us were able to communicate in a helpful way without trying to sell them. And 5 of them want to participate because we allowed them to buy. And your content, selling directly doesn't work anymore. And by getting the type of information published online, because you can't really reach out online. I mean, social media, there's a lot of noise to that too, and there's a lot of motion and what have you. But if you're truly going to talk to clients and get them to convert, they have to trust you. And the way you do that is by being authentic. You really are. And you got to give them the information, that they need. If I can use an analogy, back in the day when Sears was still a store, I went in to buy a lawnmower. I bought a new house and I had like a 1/4 acre and what have you. And a salesman came up to me and he said, "What are you looking for?" And I told him a lawnmower, and I'm looking at this big tractor tray. I mean, it was awesome, right? I figured I'd be driving in 4 speed around my yard. The first thing he asked me was, "How big's your yard?" Then he asked me some other questions about and he said, "You don't need anything like that. You're better off with this." He said, "But don't get this lawnmower with the electric lawnmower with the cord." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because after the 3rd time you run over the cord and cut it and probably ruin it, you're not going to be too happy and you're going to be here looking for something else." He said, "So here's what I recommend." I always remembered that because I went in there with a preconceived notion of what I thought I wanted. And through his walking me through a series of his expertise, I ended up getting the right, and I used that thing for 10 years. All right. So it's education, but it's through connection. It's how well you connect and how well people know you're there, not just for the money. You got to help them first in a way that's meaningful.
Yeah, I get frequently on LinkedIn people trying to send me free help, and it's really kind of annoying. I looked at your YouTube channel, I looked at your website, I just looked at this, and helping someone is not trying to point out 15 things that are wrong with what they do. And on the flip side of that, I had someone reach out to me very recently he's a copywriter, and he has a special niche in his copywriting. And instead of sending me an email saying, "I looked at your copywriting and it sucks and it's bad and here's what you should do to fix it," he said, "Hey, I hope you don't mind, but I took the liberty of creating this carousel for you just to show you how I work within your voice." It was so good. And I was like, I got to talk to this guy. I wasn't looking for a copywriter, nor do I need a copywriter, but he was so good that he was just definitely worth listening to. And I think that's where people have to be careful on offering their advice and offering how they think they can help. We interviewed someone in an organization once when I was doing panel interviews they were hiring a chief marketing executive. And the candidates coming in weren't aware that the company had just spent like $100,000 having their entire website redone by, professional service. They loved their new website. And the guy comes in for the interview, and the first thing he does is he stands up and he says, "Well, let's start with all the things that are wrong with your website, and here's what I'm going to fix." Every single person on that panel was offended. Every single person on that panel wrote him off as a possible candidate. And it was just a really bad thing to do in an interview. And it's also the bad thing to do on social media. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Starting with LinkedIn, I get a lot of these pitches. I call them pitches, right? And they're saying, "I could do this, I can do that," without even knowing whether I want it, need it. Now, what that person did that was so effective, he took the time to look at what you specifically were doing and use that as a model to demonstrate what he can do in his skills. That's what got your attention. He could have just sent you, "Hey, I do carousels," and he could have sent you totally unrelated things, right?
Right.
That's not the way to do it. And the first question you should ask, like being that web designer, "You have a great looking website. How can I help you?" That's all he had to say.
Right. It's all in that context of how you do it. The other thing I get a lot on LinkedIn are these people who say that I can get you 30 to 50 paying clients, talking to you. We have all this experience doing it. And then you glance at their profile just out of curiosity, like, who the heck are they? And 6 months ago, they were working for Enterprise Rent-A-Car or something. They have no experience, and what they're promising you, they're going to do. So before you make those promises, make sure it lines up with what's actually on your profile.
Yeah, back in the day, I signed up for, there was not really a Facebook group, but it was kind of along that way. And they sold a course on SEO. And one of the posts said, "Hey, I just got a client. What do I do next?" I mean, honestly, right? You wouldn't go to a dentist or a plumber or an electrician and not expect them to know what they're doing because they had to get certified or what have you. But the internet used to be the Wild West. In fact, even the local newspapers were saying somebody bought a PDF file and now they're out there with a website trying to market something. But I think it's becoming more professional now. Google's cleaning up a lot of the noise. People are a lot smarter now. They're doing their homework and they know, especially with video, they know somebody who's sincere versus somebody who's just out there trying to sell, like a carnival,
How do you see the future evolving in all of this?
Man, I'll tell you, I think people fear AI more, maybe because of the movies and stuff. I know Schwarzenegger did a good job at that, I guess. A lot of people feel their jobs are going to get replaced. I don't see anything. I think AI is going to evolve as a tool. I mean, if you even look at how the imaging has improved over the last year, what it's going to be. But the thing is, they cannot, I don't think within our lifetime, the humanness of who we are, the ability to analyze, to think, to be creative. If a person has a higher level mindset and they can, come up with great ideas, right? And then from there, use AI as a research tool or to fill in the blanks and use it as a tool. It's more for quicker. We used to do a lot of manual stuff. I think AI is helping us to now spend 80% on creativity and creation versus 80% research. And I think that's where it's going. The amount of being able to have your human interaction to be able to make things better. AI can't do that. AI can't do that. At least not within our lifetime, I don't think. So use it effectively.
I think for me, what it did, even in that launch party planning scenario that I described to you, what it did is increase my productivity by about 90%. And here's why. Because I don't like figuring out the math. Oh, is this cheaper than that? What are the fees? Well, I hate doing that. So I would have procrastinated for another 3 weeks until I finally had to do it.
Exactly.
And I would have done a really crappy job of doing it. And, something on one of those PDFs would have caught my attention, like an hors d'oeuvre they described, and I would have gone with it. And this way, within a minute and a half, ChatGPT did that work for me. And it's just it's off my plate. I don't have to think about it. I just send out my invitations. I love that.
But you still had to control the AI to get what you wanted. And that's the human condition. And that's what's important. So by you saving all that time, you get to be more productive on other things.
Absolutely.
Which is really important. Yeah, I don't fear AI. I kind of like to see where it's going to go. But even Google now, think about it. Just last year, if you had a question about something, you search Google, you had to look at the page one results, you had to read all the content, everything you're talking about, you had to do in Google. Now you put into an AI tool and you get back instantly what you're asking for. People want quicker responses to questions and information they want so they could take action. And that's where AI is really good. Except you got to watch out. It hallucinates sometimes. That's really bizarre and what it can do. You got to watch out for plagiarism. Legal stuff is going to be coming. There's no question. Originally, when domains came out, people were buying domains like Coca-Cola.com. And then when companies realized that they needed a domain name, they were they had to pay big bucks for that until the legal system made that copyright infringement. But that took years. So technology is always a little ahead of the legal and ethical things, right? But again, it's going to eventually flesh itself out.
As we're wrapping up here, I just want to share this kind of funny story. When I first started using AI, my husband and I were having this debate. And I wanted to prove myself right. So I said, I'm going to put it into ChatGPT. And somehow the way that I worded it, ChatGPT came back and kind of lectured me. It's like,
Really?
yeah, it kind of yelled at me and said, this is not a topic that you should be. It's like, oh my gosh. I think I just worded it wrong. And it sounded like, I think it was about like, because my husband's Chinese and it was about like acceptance into schools and Asians. And it was like number stuff. So all I was trying to do is get data to back up what my husband was saying versus what I was saying, like no opinions or anything else, but the way I worded it in there. And it was like, this is a bias. I'm like, okay, wow. I'm sorry. And I for the next 2 days, I was afraid to talk to my ChatGPT. I was like, I'm so sorry. I offended you. It was pretty funny.
Oh, that's funny. Hey, what's your book, by the way? What is your topic?
So my book it's a cross genre book, is what I call it, because it's part self-help and part leadership, because my passion is leadership. So obviously any book I write is going to be geared toward leadership. The title of the book is called Dark Drivers, and it's from subconscious shadows to conscious leadership, because all of us have within us past memories and experiences and things that are hidden deep in our subconscious that actually affect how we lead, how we do our job, how we interact, how we respond. And my book is all about how to uncover those. And it's not a psychology book. It's just a practical guide to say, hey, this is actually affecting me on how I'm a leader today. Thank you for asking. That is what it's about. It covers a lot of stories of clients who on different spectrums of how much it impacted. And I share some of my own personal stories of how it's impacted my life.
Wow, that's really interesting. We must be kindred spirits. And my book covers the human condition, fear, and the human things that impact us and how it affects us as an entrepreneur. So I went into similar. It's amazing how, we are
our patterns of behavior.
Our own worst enemy. Yeah, we could be our own worst enemies and not even know.
We usually are. Of course, not with social media. There's just like hate everywhere. We can just have enemies anywhere we look. So if people wanted to learn more about your work, how can they best connect with you in your business?
Brandvelocity.io or on LinkedIn. And from there, they can always reach out.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your time. And to our viewers and our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to the Care to Lead video series. If you found this episode valuable and you want to stay updated on our latest interviews and insights, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel or find us on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, remember, leaders who care to lead. Thank you.